Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Courageously Authentic Leadership Summit. I am so excited to bring to you today Dr. Ruth Gotian. Ruth is the Chief Learning Officer of Weill Cornell Medicine. She's also a contributor for Forbes and Psychology Today, and the winner of the 2021 Thinkers 50 Radar Award, recognizing her as the world's #1 emerging management thinker. It's pretty spectacular. She's also recognized by the journal Nature and Columbia University as a leadership expert with a focus on professional ascension. Now, as if that's not already enough, Ruth is the former Assistant Dean of Mentoring and the former Executive Director of the Mentoring Academy. She's also one of my mentors as part of the Mentor Project, and I'm so grateful for her insights. She is also a global speaker and a coach. She's a member of Marshall Goldsmith's 100 Coaches, and her book, The Success Factor, yay, you can see it's all tabbed up. I've been using it. It is an Amazon bestseller, and I highly recommend you go get a copy. It's so great. But stay tuned to the end of this because she might have something special in store. So Ruth, I want to turn it over to you because I know you have so much to bring to our audience. What does courageously authentic leadership mean to you?
Hi, I am so excited to be here with you today. And what a great way to kick this off with that question. So I study extreme high achievers, Nobel Prize winners, astronauts, and Olympic champions and NBA champions. And what has really come through in that discussion, how they achieved success is that they fear not trying more than they fear failing. I'll say that again, fear not trying more than you fear failing. And if that's not a definition of courageous leadership, then I don't know what is. It is so important now and has completely revolutionized the way I think about things that it's literally on a sticky note over my desktop.
That's really good for us to take on, fear not trying more than they feared failing. That's right. Fantastic. So in your book, you interviewed over 100 of these magnificent leaders and high achievers that have accomplished some of the most incredible feats. Yeah. So could you share what some of your takeaways were when you interviewed these folks?
It really was incredible because, I mean, this research has been going on for years. I literally started my doctoral dissertation on it, studying this, and have expanded it to other populations over that time. And I really found out that the Nobel Prize winning scientist is just like the Olympic champion figure skater. And I realized that because they all do 4 things in common. They are intrinsically motivated. They found out what they're so passionate about, what they were put on this earth, what they would do for free if they could. That's the first one. The way they look at challenges is very different from the rest of us. They never question if they'll overcome a challenge. They know that they will. So instead, they focus on how to overcome that challenge. When they hear no, all they hear is, what is the strategy I haven't thought of yet? That's the second one. The third one is, they never, ever, ever rest on their laurels. What worked for them early in their career, they're going to continue doing later in their career because they have this incredibly strong foundation, which they're constantly reinforcing. And last, but certainly not least, and this is the one that surprised me the most, with all of their accolades and all of their terminal degrees, they're still learning. They are constantly learning, and they're learning through informal means. And it doesn't matter that they won the Nobel Prize. If they need to learn something and the person who's around them, who's the best equipped with the knowledge to teach them, if that person just finished college, they'll go to that person and have. And they actually surround themselves with not one, but a team of mentors who believe in them more than they believe in themselves. Because even with the gold medal and the NBA championships and the Nobel Prize, they get imposter syndrome just like the rest of us. And they need those pick-me-ups. They need somebody that has perspective. So that's why they surround themselves with that team of mentors. Those are the 4 things I have found in everyone from the former chief astronaut of NASA, Dr. Peggy Whitson, to the most decorated Winter Olympian, Apollo Ono, the coach of the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr, Nobel Prize winners, Dr. Bob Lefkowitz, it doesn't matter. They all do the same 4 things. So can us, we can do the same.
Absolutely. So I want people to lean in on that. And if you need to record this and listen to that again, do it. Because that is gold, right? And one of the other interviews is with Michael Alsey, whom you know from the Mentor Project. And we talked about a similar thing, how the best leaders are the best students.
That's right.
Because you're continuously learning from folks above, across, below, all around you, and building a community of mentors, which is around you, which is really wonderful.
Absolutely.
So, something you did just bring up, though, I'd love to dive into a bit deeper, because I think we have this notion that when folks are really successful and they're recognized, that imposter syndrome is not a thing for them. It's a thing for those of us who are not quite at that level, right? And you said that's not true. So can you go into that a little bit deeper about what you learned from them?
So it's interesting. Of all of the Olympians, for example, who I interviewed, only 2 of them had their medals on display. The NBA champions did not have it on display. The NFL Hall of Famer said all of his awards are in the basement of his mom's house. And the reason is the award was never the goal. It's something that happened along the way. There's something they want to achieve after it, so that win is very short-lived. And just like everyone else, they feel that it can be taken away in a moment. In fact, when during the Thinkers 50 Gala, it was virtual, obviously, this year. And I was backstage in the green room with some of the other winners. And the person who was ranked as the #1 management thinker, in her speech, she said, there's so many other people who deserve this more than I do. Now, you have just been ranked the #1 management thinker by the biggest and most impressive list. And this is what you feel because you're surrounded by incredible people all the time. This becomes the expectation. Now, I think you were at my book launch party.
I was.
Right? Now, this is what was really, really funny. One of so I had many book launch events, but there was a private one just for the people who were in the book, because I knew them all, but they didn't know each other, and really good friends and family. So it was this incredibly eclectic mix. Now, one of the astronauts texted me right beforehand, and he said to me, oh, will Dr. Fauci be there? Because Dr. Fauci is in the book. And I said, no, we're in the middle of a pandemic. He's kind of busy right now. I said, but this Nobel Prize winner will be there. So the astronaut texted back. He said, oh, wow, Nobel Prize. Now that's a high achiever. And I'm thinking to myself, you're an astronaut. You went in a tin can to space. Like, why would you undersell that?
Right.
So I was telling the story to the Nobel Prize winner. And, so first of all, before I told the story to the Nobel Prize winner, I was thinking, everyone the astronaut hangs out with, they're other astronauts. So to him, that's a normal. Now, most of us have never met astronauts before, but for them, that's everyone. Those are their neighbors. Those are the people they hang out with socially. Those are the people they work with. That's his normal, is astronauts, right? So it's not, in his mind, a big achievement. Now, I spoke to the Nobel Prize winner and I was telling him the story. And he said, that's really fascinating because I know a lot of Nobel Prize winners. We all are invited to the Nobel Awards. We have this conference we go to. There's all the kinds of events that we do, but I don't know any astronauts. And I'm thinking, oh my God, here we go again, right?
Yeah.
So then I said, this is a problem I can fix. So I actually introduced the Nobel Prize winner to the astronaut. Now they have this whole bromance going, but it was fascinating. And that told me an important story. An important lesson is you are who you surround yourself with. That becomes your bar of achievement. So if you are hanging out all the time with other astronauts, other Nobel Prize winners, other leaders in your field, that becomes your baseline. That becomes what you should be striving for, right? So when you get it, it may not be a big deal. It may be why imposter syndrome kicks in, because everyone else around you has it and you don't see yourself as worthy as they are. But no, those people are actually going to be your biggest supporters. They're
Yes.
going to be the most excited for you. They will lift you up. So continue to surround yourself with these kind of incredible people, whether they're in your field or not,
Mhm.
because they will start lifting you up without you even realizing. And you will see that you will be setting a higher internal bar of excellence for yourself and then expecting it for everyone around you.
Yes, I've experienced that being with you all in the Mentor Project and the Executive Council Network. And it's so true that when you expand your network and your community, right? Because it's not just expanding the people you know, it's expanding the people you're connected with through a community where we're all striving to elevate each other. And I think that's one of the very best things that I have experienced out of the Mentor Project and the Executive Council Network both, is that elevation, right? And it is because of exactly what you just said. Each of the folks that are part of this community are rock stars in their own way, right? And we don't compare ourselves to each other or to anyone else. It literally is that authentic space that you hold for yourself. It's great. You get to be who you are, and we elevate each other, which has been wonderful.
Which is so incredible because, people ask me what my definition of success is all the time, and there's 3 parts to it. But one of the parts is that these people, as they start ascending in their success, they are pulling other people up with them.
Yes.
That's one part. The second part, the second of 3 parts, is that when they achieve some sort of success, some sort of notoriety, some sort of achievement, they spread the spotlight because they understand that a spotlight on someone else does not dim the spotlight on them. And that's what we don't see enough of. People are hogging the spotlight. Now, one of the Nobel Prize winners who I interviewed for the book, Dr. Bob Lefkowitz, he actually shared the Nobel Prize with one of his former mentees. And I said, "Oh, was that weird? I mean, this person worked in your lab, you mentored him." He said, "No." He's like, "There is no bigger honor." And I said, "That's the difference. That's the difference, that you were honored to share the biggest award of your career with one of your mentees." That's success. We need more people like that.
100%. Because there is no competition for authenticity.
That's right.
Right? When you are who you are and you can recognize and uphold other people for what they bring to the table and their experiences and who they are at their core, everyone wins.
That's right.
I think that's so wonderful. And one of the things you had mentioned, I think it was in a Forbes article that you wrote about the imposter syndrome, was that when you've gotten to a level of success, you've actually earned your right for imposter syndrome, right? Because you have achieved something.
Yeah.
And I think that was a very interesting twist that you put on that.
Yes, that was a Psychology Today article.
Oh, Psychology Today. Okay.
And so really, it's our brain is playing tricks on us. The reason that we feel imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon, which some people are calling it, it's because we have achieved something that is new. We don't recognize it. It's new to us. So what if we reframe that newness? Instead of it being a trigger for anxiety, it actually should be a marker for success because it's something new. And you have just put the stake in the ground of, this is what I just achieved. Now I want you to think of, what's my next goal? You just hit one. What's next? And that is really, if you think about it, the Olympians that don't crash and burn after they get their gold medal are those that have the next goal. Because as I said earlier, it's never about the medal. I don't know of a single Nobel Prize winner who stopped doing science just because they won the Nobel Prize. If anything, they double down.
Yeah.
Put your stake in the ground, realize that it's a marker of success, and then make another goal and then go after it.
Yeah, I think that's really important for people to understand, because when we feel that fear of, this is uncomfortable, it's new, I don't know what to expect, That's all it is. It's not a fear of don't do that. It's a fear of, I mean, that's the way your brain is wired, right?
That's
Your
right.
brain is always looking for threats, things to keep you safe. And if it doesn't recognize something, it's like, wait, this doesn't fit into the paradigm that I already know. So maybe that's scary.
That's right.
Scary doesn't mean bad.
That's right. It means
Usually
new.
means you've stepped into a space where you are expanding. And that's a good thing.
That's right. It's new.
Yeah, something new. So for you, you've had so many opportunities to be a leader, step into a leadership position, but it's not about the position or the title. Courageously authentic leadership is about who you are being, no matter what you're doing. I would love for you to share what's been one of the obstacles that you've overcome in your leadership journey to really step into your authentic being.
So I have always kept my personal life private, right? I don't talk about my family on social media or my vacations or anything like that. It's pretty professional on social media. But during the pandemic, I lost my childhood friend and I lost my father in a span of 2 months. And what I had realized was that work, I was more or less okay. I was so busy, my mind was so occupied that for anyone who lost a parent, your mind just starts to wander and reminisce, and it's hard. Letting people know that I was grieving was not easy. And for me, writing the book, I actually wrote it during my year-long mourning period because it was written on weekends when I did not have the structure of work because I needed to keep my mind occupied. So letting people know that this was a coping mechanism for me, and bleeding my personal life into my professional life was new. But this was something that I knew was just, I couldn't compartmentalize the loss of my father. I just couldn't. So I had to let a lot of people know at work. And I think that actually got us closer.
Yeah.
Which was beautiful.
It's really fascinating to see how that connection is more bonded. People feel like they can connect with you better.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, and I come from a military and a government background where you don't have emotions. Like
That's right.
everything is fine. We check the box, we move forward. And that creates such dissonance and distance between the people that you are there to lead.
Yeah.
Right. And the people who are leading you.
Yeah.
And it's in dropping that mask and being able to be authentically who you are and recognizing the feelings that you have. Those are data points. It's telling you something's off.
That's right.
Right. And so much of the time I don't have time for that right now. I've got to focus on other things. But it's important to tune in and listen to that and create space for other people to do that as well. Because when we let down our guard and let people in, they then can relax and we get better productivity from them. They feel more creative in their space. They're able to contribute better as well. Have you found that?
So much better. And there's actually a lot of research on that to prove it, because it removes that distance. And people are able to trust you more. So there's research going back decades on that. But knowing the research is out there, and I'm an academic, right? So knowing the research is out there, but actually doing it are two different things.
Definitely. When you feel it, it means something. When you read it, you're like, cool, I know that. But internally, you don't feel it.
That's right. But when the book was published in January, right? We're still in the middle of the pandemic. I knew there was only one way I wanted to celebrate. And I wanted to bring in a cake to work because these are the people who got me through the mourning period. So it wasn't just my celebration. It was a celebration and a thank you to all of them for being that support system even if I never said I needed it, knowing that it was always there was sometimes all I needed.
Absolutely. And when we build that community, everybody rises, just like we said
Always.
before.
Always.
Yeah. So what guidance would you provide someone who wants to up level to become a courageously authentic leader? Because it's not the same as standard leadership.
Yeah.
Right? Courageously authentic leadership is really about stepping into who you are, being clear on that first, right?
Yeah.
The clarity of who you are and what you bring to the world, having the courage to step into that space, even if you're in an environment that you might think, oh, this is not going to go well, right? It goes so much better than you ever think because people can really see you.
That's
and then building that connection and the communication. So that's what it's about. What guidance would you provide for someone who really wants to do that?
So it's the advice that I got from my mentor when I was starting my doctoral research. And coincidentally, it's the same advice I got from Dr. Tony Fauci when I asked him, how do you pick what projects to work on? Right? Because so I've known who he was long before COVID because he worked on HIV and Ebola and SARS and all of the infectious diseases. So by the time COVID came along, this was not something new to him. And he said to me, and this is the best advice I can give, do something important, not just interesting. Because if it's interesting to you like a hobby. But if it's important, it'll have a ripple effect. And you will be able to positively impact people, so many people you will never have the opportunity to meet, but you are going to be able to leave this world better than you found it. So do something important, not just interesting.
That's fantastic. And in order to do something important, you need to know what you bring to the world.
That's right.
Right. So that's so great. Now, Ruth, I want to make sure folks know before we wrap this up that you are offering something to the first person who responds to this email, because remember, you're watching this in email, respond to the email with 3 takeaways from this conversation. You are going to send them a signed copy of your book, The Success Factor.
I absolutely am. And I didn't even tell you this, but there's a second thing.
Okay.
So we can have one person will definitely get the signed copy of The Success Factor. And somebody who emails you and tells you the best advice they got from their mentor, you make that the first person who does that will get access to my LinkedIn learning course, How to Be an Inspiring Mentor.
Oh, I love it. And that's such a good course. It is so good. I did watch it. It's the way that you explain things is so simple. And it's like, how have I been making this so complicated? It's not.
You know, I wanted to always be the professor I always wanted, but never had. The theory is great, but if you don't teach people action, they're not going to know how to implement it. So what's the point? I can talk theory with anyone who wants to talk theory, but my goal is to teach people actionable tips and give them a buffet of option of tips that they can implement, because what works for you is not going to work for me. What works for me today is not going to work for me next time I have a transition in my life. That's what I did with the book, with The Success Factor. That's what I did with the LinkedIn learning course. That's what I do with every talk that I give. Yeah. That's my goal.
Yeah, you make it applicable. So it actually means something and they can apply it. I was going to mention that about your book too, because at the end of each chapter, you do that. You wrap that up with, here are things you actually can do. And I found that so fascinating, because so many books, you get through the whole thing and you're like, okay, that seemed really good, but now I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you so much. How can people connect with you further if they'd like to?
Absolutely. So I would love if everyone connected, just go to my website, ruthgotian.com, RUTHGOTIAN. You can see links there to my books, to some articles, to social media. It's just my name. I'm excited to reach out and connect.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ruth, for the time and the insights. So many gold nuggets in that. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Bye, everyone.